Welcome to Conscious Conversations, a place where East meets West, a place where conversations and ideas will challenge your minds, expand your consciousness, awaken your heart, and make you think more deeply about yourself and the world.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Conscious Conversations. I'm your host, Anthony Profeta. I'm here with co-host Wes Gordon. How are you doing today, Wes?
Great. Wonderful.
And I'm very excited.
Yes.
I'm sure you are too, because we have a very special guest here today, Christopher Timms, who's joining us on today's show. How are you, Christopher?
I'm wonderful, Anthony, Wes. It's great to be with you guys again.
So excited to be here with you. So thank you for coming on. We're very excited to have you on as our first guest on this show.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Very excited about the conversation today, too. But before we get into that, just in case some of our listeners or our viewers might not know a little bit about you, how about you just share a little bit about your background? I love your background, I must say, because we have a lot in common.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's always great to talk to you. But for those that might not know you, just share a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. I've been teaching for 33 years. I just celebrated my 33rd year anniversary, January 8th. And I guess really to sum it up quickly, I've played music all my life. I've been a violinist and a rock drummer, quite a combination. Drove my mother crazy. And I started studying yoga when I was 13, martial arts when I was 14. I really devoured a lot of those things. And I was really interested in what life was about. I was really interested in the idea of there's something more to life than just going out and working, making money, even as a kid, because that's what my dad did. My dad was a World War II Normandy vet.
Okay.
He came home, went to work. That's just what he did. You know? And I knew there was something more, but I didn't know what it was. I'm just a kid playing around. Right. So playing music professionally in bands and different quartets, orchestras, different things like that. Grew up in the building trades. When it came time for me to explore spiritual teachings, from within my yoga background, I had that foundation. From within martial arts, I had that foundation. Within my education, I had a good background as to how to learn. So just basically, everybody, I got kicked out of every spiritual organization I ever tried to join. And it's true. And I got kicked out because I don't like structures. I don't like hierarchies. I don't like guru, messiah, master, kind of initiate kind of a thing. I don't like codependence and dysfunction. I'm a fiercely sovereign, fiercely independent person. And everything that I was finding in my spiritual journey told me that we're all that way, that we're all whole and complete. We're not inadequate. We're not broken. We don't need to be fixed. There's nothing that anyone can give you that you do not already have. So I wasn't buying a lot of the stories that I was hearing.
Sure.
So when I got tired of getting kicked out of all the organizations, because we all want to belong
to something. We're social creatures.
We're social creatures. Right. And then I realized, well, I just need to get my own football and just start my own thing for other people, because surely there are other people like me in the world.
Right.
That have asked those same questions, that have had the same responses, where they don't feel welcome, but yet they stick it out within groups where they don't really belong.
Right.
And here I am 33 years later, and I've taught all over the world and just shared some really simple fundamentals, which we're going to cover today in my life.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
That's really wonderful. And I loved how you said, you made the comment that, we're not broken and, there's so much to us and we're whole as we are, because I always tell people, there's so much more to discover about us than there really is to fix.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Yes. And so thank you again for being here. And today's topic, we decided we would talk about experiencing true peace in a world full of chaos. And I think if we look around, we definitely see that today. But something I would just like to share is, quite prophetically, Mahatma Gandhi, one of the great peace advocates of our time, said that our ability to find peace and reach unity in diversity will be the great beauty and test, the great test of our civilization.
Right.
And I believe that that's absolutely true, and we're seeing that today. However, many might say we're failing this test miserably.
And right, well, we can't argue with that, right? The idea that we've, in a very large sense, have been failing this test. There's a lot of insights to be gained when things are so blatantly out of whack.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when things are so out of whack, it's easy to see what we don't want to be a part of anymore.
Right.
And Osho asks us to consider with silence, is your silence a garden or is it a graveyard?
Mm.
You know,
good.
and that's a great contemplation, because I remember sitting at Vipassana, you know, and you go into a big Buddhist meditation,
Right.
room full of people. Everyone's looking like they're in meditation. And then, unfortunately, because I'm just open, I'm hearing people's minds and their emotional bodies going, oh my God, when is this going to be over? Oh no. Did I turn the coffee off? I have to pay my auto insurance.
Yep.
You know, and
My back.
as moments go by and there's 45 minutes left in that session,
Yeah.
right? And the whole room is now filling up with internal dialogue that I'm hearing, but everyone's sitting looking like they're in meditation. You know. And so I have a couple simple approaches to take the idea of a contemplative life based in meditative and prayer practice and adapting it to a Western culture.
Okay.
So I'd love to be able to share that with everybody.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Absolutely.
We'd love you
All
to.
right. So since 1976, my personal practice has been based upon the experiences of inner light, inner sound, which we can know as the Shabd or the Bani or the music of the spheres, many different names, and then inner presence. And these cultivations, practices, when done classically, the way it was taught for centuries and centuries in other parts of the world, are austere, strict
Right.
doings, basically. And the idea is that you're going to accumulate so much of a doing that it's going to flip you into a state of being. But for the Western mind, we are so strong in our heads, we are so externalized that you can keep doing for 20 and 30 and 40 years of these doings, and you just become very good at what you're doing. And therefore, you have the room full of people looking like they're meditating, but their silence is a graveyard, not a garden.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So, 1988, when I started all of this, I realized all of this as a young guy, starting to teach all of this. And what I did is, instead of taking the 20 to 30 minute meditative practice, which is your beginning point, right, for most people, I said, let's turn this into a tantra. Let's turn it into an embrace. So you can be childlike for 10 or 15 seconds.
Right.
You can be childlike for 10 or 15 seconds. So let's get familiar with what the experiences are of inner light, you know, the soft, grain-like texture that washes freely across the screen of the inner sight. The inner sound, the holy nam, the word, whatever you want to call it, that high-pitched ringing sound. And then that presence is a stillness. It's what I call the emptiness that is full. It coaxes you to take that next step out of the box. It's that presence that's with you all the days of your life. So as we're familiar with these qualities, to cultivate them, to embrace the Western mind, let's just spend 10 or 15 seconds and do it. And people go, well, that's it? Yeah, you just do it. So people can do that before your mind starts jumping in and says, this is really stupid.
Right.
This is a waste of time. I'm not ready for this. It's not working.
I'm too old.
I'm too old. Right. All of this is abandoned for the moment because you're a child again for 10 or 15 seconds and you're embracing it. And then I ask people, you do that 20 or 30 times every day. Every time you sit down at the meal table, you know, your breakfast table, dinner table, before you eat, that's your prayer. No words. You just bathe in light and sound and presence. Every time you reach for that refrigerator door, before you open that door to make your choice, light, sound, and presence. When you get in the car, before I go anywhere, light, sound, and presence. When I arrive at my destination, shut it off, light, sound, and presence. That used to drive Yolanda crazy when we first met, because we'd be in the truck, and she would always sit in the middle with me.
Okay.
Right? You know, we would get ready to go somewhere, and she'd be ready to go, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm saying, what are you doing? What are you doing? Nothing. Let's go. And then we get to the destination. Same thing. What are you doing? What am I doing? I'm doing what I ask everybody else to do.
Right.
You know. And then she finally got it and smacked me for it, right? Because she, you know, it's just the way she is. And but that does it. See, for the Western mind, a short burst of focused attention. This is not concentration. This is a contemplation. This is an experience. It's an embrace. It's a totally different thing. You know, the idea of concentration from Eastern to Western language translation is greatly misunderstood, and it really messes up a lot of people in their practice. For instance, when in Buddhism, when we talk about the single pointedness of mind,
Yes.
you know, people think that's a dot over there on the other side of the wall. And they're focusing on that, and they're not paying attention to anything else. When in actuality, the single pointedness of mind is an essential unity. It's a 360-degree spherical attention that asks you to release your need to identify or understand anything, but just be a part of it all.
Right. Yeah, and also the concentration for many people makes them think that they'd have to like focus really hard and intensely, and they're exhausting themselves.
And you're using your mind, and the point is to transcend your mind.
Right. But I think we need to take a quick break here. Thank you so much for this, and we'll continue our conversation when we come back right after these messages. Welcome back to Conscious Conversations. I'm here with Wes Gordon, and we're here with our very special guest, Christopher Timms, and we're excited that you're here today, and we're excited to continue this conversation on experiencing true peace in a world full of chaos. And I love that you shared a little bit of an experience and shared a little bit of something, how people can get a little bit focused or centered or find a little bit of a peace within themselves just by taking a couple seconds just to be quiet and be present. So I'd love for you to continue on with this.
Thank you. Well, as you practice your 10 to 15 seconds, 20, 30 times a day of inner light, sound, and presence, light, sound, and presence, light, sound, and presence, you're welcoming that into every aspect of your life. Again, as Osho or Rajneesh said many years ago, God is not your neighbor. You know, you don't put on your meditation clothes or your church clothes and just go visit God every day or once a week. It's time to be able to bring that into every aspect of your life. So when you do that, the cultivation accumulates within you like an investment, just like an economic investment, okay? Right. And it accrues, it grows, it builds up. And as it builds up, then it leverages you. It tips the scales from where you were and who you were into a state of discovery, into a state of transcending the little self.
Right.
You know, the temporary self. And in that state, we're what Terence McKenna would call erasing the personality. You're just taking the Etch-a-Sketch and just shaking it. Yeah. I know I'm dating myself, but that's just kind of...
I had a couple of them myself.
Right. So, you know, we're there. So now, all right, Chris, what does this have to do with experiencing true peace in a world full of chaos? Well, as soon as you begin to invest in these qualities, which are eternal, which are transcendent to space-time,
right,
then... as they accumulate, as they leverage within you, they shift your perception to the point where you can really be in the world, yet not of the world, right, where the turbulence and the pervading insanity of the world going on around you, plus your own opinions of what you like and what you don't like, are not that meaningful to you anymore. Right. I've been trying to tell people throughout all of these years, and not just these last years of societal change and transformation, but all 33 years of teaching, that I have a 90%, 10% balance point. And this 90%, 10% point is that 90% of my values, my principles, my priority in my everyday life has to do with my interiority.
Right.
My internal environment. And that's light, sound, and presence. Light, sound, and presence, light, sound. Okay? The other 10% is everything going out here.
Right.
You know, the political, the social, the psychological, the economic, all the issues of the day, whatever they're presented, you know, for us to deal with.
Right.
And it's because I have that 90% that's continuously fed and full with light, sound, and presence, when I look into the world, I have an insight and I have a perspective that is not of this world.
Right.
I'm not sucked in. You know, I can study and I can have my Chris opinions, you know, and I
Yes.
love my Chris opinions. Just ask me, right? You know, about everything.
Right.
But the thing is, I don't take me or my opinions too seriously, because I know from the 90% that I've invested in that none of it even really exists. See, that's the thing. People are so leveraged and invested into believing that all of this is real and this is who they really are. And this is so desperately important for their very existence, when it's just a turn of a page.
Yes, and I agree with you on that, but I have a question for your
Yes, sure.
opinion
Yeah.
in a way. What do you say to somebody that's listening to the show, but they're living in their world full of chaos right now?
Yes.
And they've gone through a situation where, and I know many people that because of the economic situations, their businesses have actually closed.
Yes.
So I've worked in some wellness centers and studios that are now no longer in existence.
Exactly.
So they're living in a world of chaos because now that's been taken away from them. And they're saying, well, how is this going to help me actually move through when I still have all these bills to pay and I have all this other stuff to take care of? How is this just sitting in, light, sound, presence going to help me really get through that?
Light, sound, and presence changes the attachment that any external event has to you or me, well, to any of us here,
Right.
in our lives. And when someone's business closes, when you're filled with a light and sound and presence, then you also notice, as you notice, that those doors are closing, and that's very sad,
Yeah.
very unnerving in many ways, very frustrating, all of it, right? All of it is coming out. That along with that perception, there's also the idea that, wow, my table's empty. Life's filled with opportunities. I wonder what I can do now.
I love that you said that.
And it's really important, because the real entrepreneur, the person that opened the center,
Right.
person that opened those restaurants, that opened those supply houses that are all closed up now,
Yeah.
they're looking, some of them, who have that perspective we're speaking about, have that initiative where they're going, okay, well, that's off the plate now. Let's see what's on the table. What can I do?
Right. Yes. And that's what I've noticed even when I came back from India. Everything was closed. All my studios, all my work was done.
Right.
But the presence that I get through my own practice gave me the ability to say, okay, this is what life has now presented to me.
Yes,
What am I going to do with this?
That's
How
right.
am I going to respond?
that's right.
And so I love that you actually brought up that part of it.
It's important, because life is not here for your disadvantage, everyone. Life is here for your advantage.
Yes.
The universe is always saying yes. It just depends upon what you're saying. The universe is always providing the opportunity for you to see the reflection of what's within your own heart.
Yes, that's you line perfectly with what I call supply. When you step into the silence, you stepped into infinity of abundance.
Absolutely.
And if you're flexible, the next thing can show up or be presented to you and you can run with it. But where if you're not, if you're caught up in that fear and locked down, you've blocked it all from showing up.
You did. Absolutely. And people do, you see that all the time, all around you.
Right.
And
How about this ability to, become present, focus on the light, sound, and presence, and then how do you see that helps in bringing peace to maybe the world or to people, or how can that benefit?
the only thing in life that's really contagious, and this is controversial, okay, I'm just saying, the only thing in life that's really contagious are states of consciousness.
Okay.
So the peace that I am, the strength that I am, the resolve that I am as a man in this life is contagious to everyone around me. And that's what I want to infect the world with.
Yes.
And each of us are that same way. When you're around someone that's a great musician, the musician in you begins to awaken for that period of time. And you go, I'd love to be able to do that. I wonder if I could do that, right? If you're around a great yogi or a martial artist, I know those feelings because I've experienced them.
Yeah.
And the same is true with the simplicity and the power of peace. the greatest contagion.
Yeah. I definitely believe that. I believe it begins to overflow into the world around us, and it begins to overflow to people who come into contact with us. So.
And we know that physiologically it strengthens your immune system when you're
Absolutely.
peaceful, when you're centered,
Less
when you're
stressed.
still to yourself, when you're able to adapt to a changing series of circumstances without reactionary stressors going on. Your immune system is operating efficiently and effectively.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Your body is stronger. You sleep better. Therefore, you rejuvenate more completely. Peace is the answer right now.
So you're back to become what you want the world to be. You
Yes.
become peaceful, then the world reflects that.
That's exactly right.
Perfect.
Yeah. And I think that this is a wonderful time for stimulus to help people cultivate that,
Yes.
because they see the world in a very chaotic way.
What they don't want.
What they don't want. And if more of us begin to cultivate that peace and that presence, then by default we can help to shift that perspective in the world around us and bring that peace to the world around us.
And that's great. And I want to point out with that it's not self-important to say that my peace, the peace that I've cultivated, the strength that I've cultivated, the resolve that I have as a person in this life is a great gift to the world.
Right.
I want you,
Yeah.
I want everybody to have that same feeling of self-esteem and self-worth about themselves, is that the worthiness that you're looking for is already there.
Right.
Is that be that lamp.
Yes.
Be the
Be the
lamp
light,
unto
yep.
the world, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Carry that torch.
Yeah.
Be that light.
Yeah.
You are already. Just light
gotta
it up.
shine.
Let's go.
That's right.
Let's
It's
do
time
it.
to shine.
That's it.
But I think we need to wrap it up here. Christopher, you don't know how excited both Wes and myself were to have you here today.
Absolutely.
A wonderful guest. Hopefully you'll come back again and we'll continue more of these conversations, because we'd love to have you back. You're a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of wisdom, and just to have some conversations with you is always inspiring to me.
Oh, it's just great.
So
We're just cracking the surface.
Absolutely.
We can have so much fun.
we could. So thank you very much. Again, we appreciate you being here. Thank you, Wes, as always. And thank you all for listening, for watching. We love you. Please let us know what you think about cultivating peace in this world full of chaos. Leave your comments below or underneath the video or in the Conscious Conversations Facebook page. We thank you all for listening. We love you and hope that each and every one of your days is filled with an abundance of love, happiness, and peace.